Hello, writers. This is Mrs. Harding for Lesson 16. We are here to look at a model short essay that will show us how to connect a theme from a myth that was alluded to or hinted at in The Lightning Thief and the Lightning Thief book itself. So I'm going to read aloud this text to you. You should have already read this on your own. If you haven't, please stop this video, scroll back up in the lesson, and read this text. It's really important for you to read it first because it will help give you some background information when you hear me read it aloud to you now. Remember, when you reread things more than once, so you're reading it and then you're rereading it, your brain gets a lot more from that. You pick up on more details than you do if you just read through it one time. So pause this video right now and go back and read this text if you haven't already. If you have, then great, let's dive right in. So while I'm reading aloud, I would love it if you would follow along in the text with me. And then you'll notice I'm going to stop and talk a lot about what each of the paragraphs contain. And the purpose of this is to help you see what parts you need to have in a good essay or even just a short paragraph that includes things like evidence and examples to support your ideas. And it's just really clear, good writing so your reader can follow what you're trying to say and understand the point of what you're trying to get across. I'll also help you see things like how the theme is introduced and explained, and you'll get an idea and an example of how to do all these things that this is going to be asked of you in your end of unit assessment. So this will be a good practice run for you. And it's also a good skill to know how to write clearly. You'll be using that in all of your life. So let's dive right in and follow along with me as I read. In the myth of Prometheus, a hero decides to steal from Mount Olympus and bring it to the humans, even though he will risk punishment from Zeus. In both the myth of Prometheus and the novel The Lightning Thief, a hero has to go up against a powerful god to fight for what is right. In the myth of Prometheus, the hero was a less powerful god called Prometheus, and in The Lightning Thief, the hero is a boy with special powers called Percy Jackson. Okay, so this is an introduction paragraph. The purpose of this paragraph is to introduce the reader to introduce the reader to the topic so the reader knows what's coming next, what this essay is about. So there's an introduction, and in the introduction, it's summarizing the myth. So your prompt asks you to find a myth that is alluded to in The Lightning Thief and has the same theme or one of the themes as The Lightning Thief. So what that means is in The Lightning Thief, the book, there are different myths that are alluded to or hinted at. So the author mentions them, but doesn't mention them by name or give a big summary of the whole myth, but instead just mentions them. They're alluded to. And so in this introduction paragraph, the author mentions or explains the myth of Prometheus, which is one of the myths that's alluded to in the novel The Lightning Thief. So that myth isn't summarized. And an introduction is given of the theme that connects both of that myth, which is Prometheus, to the novel, The Lightning Thief. So the theme that's introduced, it's mentioned here, it says, in both the myth of Prometheus and the novel, a hero has to go up a powerful god to fight for what is right. So it looks like we're going to be talking about a theme about how to fight for what is right, even when you're having to stand up to someone greater than yourself. Okay, and then also there's an introduction of how the theme is communicated in each text. So briefly, the author says how the theme is shown to the reader. In each of the texts, the myth, it's against the god, and in The Lightning Thief, the hero is a boy. So it's just showing the differences and how they're both communicated. Okay, so this is just an introduction. Then we're going to jump into the first body paragraph. In the myth of Prometheus, a hero has to go against a more powerful being and risk punishment to fight for what is right. Prometheus is the hero who goes against Zeus in order for mankind to progress. And then here you see a quote. So here we're seeing some evidence to show proof for what the writer is saying. Surely Zeus, ruler of Olympus, would have compassion for man, but Prometheus looked to Zeus in vain. He did not have compassion for man, end quote. Even though he knew Zeus would punish him, Prometheus knew that the people needed to have fire. After giving people fire, it is clear Prometheus did the right thing. Here's another quote, another quote, some evidence to support the writer's theme. With fire, man no longer trembled in the darkness of caves when Zeus hurled his lightning across the sky. He was no longer scared of animals that hunted him and drove him in terror. So in this body paragraph, we have the myth again is introduced, and then we're seeing it in a little more detail. There's an example from the myth to support the theme, and two different quotes were given to support the theme. All right, now here's the second body paragraph. And what do you think is going to be in this one? Or what do you remember from when you already read this text? So let's kind of recap. The first paragraph has a introduction of what the theme is that connects the two texts, the myth and the lightning thief. Then in this paragraph, the writer is diving more into the theme in the myth of Prometheus. So in this paragraph, the writer now needs to dive into the theme as it is shown in the lightning thief. Okay, let's dive in. So in the same way, in the lightning thief, Percy is the hero who has to go against powerful beings to do what is right. Percy goes to the underworld to face the powerful god Hades to take back the lightning bolt to return to Zeus. Hades wasn't bulked up like Ares, but he radiated power. He lounged on his throne of fused human bones, looking lithe, graceful, and dangerous as a panther. So see there, that's the quote to support the theme. Also, several times in the book, he has to stand up to Ares, the god of war, even though Ares is much more powerful than him. I wanted to punch this guy, but somehow I knew he was waiting for that. Ares' power was causing my anger. He'd love it if I attacked. I didn't want to give him that satisfaction. And there's another quote. As you see, Percy goes through many trials in order to restore peace between Zeus and Poseidon because it is the right thing to do. Okay, so in this paragraph, again, the author dove into explaining the theme and giving evidence for it as it is shown in The Lightning Thief. Okay, so the novel is introduced, it's explained, just again recapped about how Percy's the hero and has to go against powerful beings to do what is right. So that's the theme connected to that book. There's an example given here and a quote to show that, and then another example and a quote to show it down here. Okay, so just to quickly recap, this is the introduction paragraph. It does a very brief summary of the myth and how it's connected to the novel, and the theme is introduced just briefly. And then here it's the theme is explained with evidence, with quotes about how the theme is shown in the myth. And then the theme is explained how it's shown in the novel, also with quotes and evidence. And then lastly, you're going to have a brief paragraph to conclude. So you're going to be hearing a recap of the theme and how it's shown in the two texts. Okay, here we go. Myths are important because they teach us lessons. For example, the myth of Prometheus teaches us that sometimes we have to fight for good against more powerful forces that might oppose it. Even though Zeus didn't want to help mankind, Prometheus struggled against him time and again so that people on Earth were able to progress. Rick Riordan, I might be saying that wrong, included the myth of Prometheus to show us that Percy is a modern-day Prometheus fighting for what is right. So here they're just giving a conclusion, explaining again the theme and how it's connected between the two texts. Okay, so you're going to be doing this soon with a different myth that's also alluded to in The Lightning Thief, and you're going to need to be able to connect a theme that you see in that myth to a theme that you see in The Lightning Thief and give examples, quotes from both the texts in order to prove the theme that you see. Right, so if you need to re-watch this video so you can really see a breakdown of how the author showed the myth, how the author showed the theme in both the myth and the book with examples for both. All right, writers, let's dive in.